Hello and welcome back. We've got our next match here of the 11th Alliance Tournament. My name is CSP Fozzie. I'm here with CSP Rise, and we're bringing you End of Life versus Darkspawn. Darkspawn has brought an interesting setup, I'll say that. It's got a good core. The Ravens that are probably going to be kiting cruise missile Ravens, I like that. 3 of them. But the problem is they only brought 7 pilots, which is rarely a good idea. Vulture, Tengu, Drake, Hawk, you could do so much better with the rest of the points after your 3 Ravens than that. But we'll see how they actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, that said, on the other side, a more solid-looking setup with Vindicator, Damnation, Oneros, 3 Navy Vexors, and a little bit of support. But there are also a couple ships short.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem out of the question to me that Darkspawn would put up a good fight in this match. It'll depend a little bit, of course, on their piloting and on their, it looks like this could actually be Tinkerish. That I'm not sure, but I feel like that's going to be a Logi Tengu. That sub sort of makes me think it's a Logi Tengu. It doesn't look like a fighting Tengu.
Yeah.
So, if they are able to tank the initial burst coming from the Vexors, which can do huge amount of damage with that Vindicator, they may actually be all right, but we'll have to see.
Yes, indeed. You are right. That Tengu is going to be doing some repping. Yep, they are tinkering it up.
Live.
Yep. So they're using the Ravens for the Tinker instead of using the Navy Scorps, as we saw from Angelic Mortis. Not going to be nearly as strong of a tank, but might be enough. We'll have to see against all this damage, though.
The new Ravens, of course, going to do more damage than the Scorps would because they have that application bonus.
Yes, they have the same paper DPS, but they apply it actually better to small ships,
which helps a lot against things like the Oneros. So we'll have to see how this
goes.
goes.
No, this is I don't think they're going to be able to tank the damage from the Vexor Navies and the Vindicator, though.
Probably not. But if they can take something out, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I tend to agree with you. I mean, I think you're right that the Vexors are in good shape here. It's a lot of damage, but why aren't they there yet, by the way? What are they doing?
They're just kind of taking
they
their
dropped
time.
Sentries?
Yep, Curators.
Curators. That is weird.
So the Vindy is sort of making its way up there, but it's not doing it fast.
That is so odd to me.
He is blaster fit, but he's getting up there in no rush, which is odd. I'd expect him to be in a rush.
They do have damps, so maybe they think they can just completely shut off the Raven DPS with the damps and not have to risk taking any damage at all. But yes, especially the Vindicators moving in close. The Vexors, I would think, would want to follow.
Yeah, I'm
drop
surprised.
Heavies, but
the Vindicator is now turned on his micro warp drive. Took him a while, but he's doing it now. The Navy Vexors don't have a lot of gun DPS, so realistically getting in close themselves isn't going to help too much. They could have used heavies, though, but...
well, you can also put... Like, they don't have a bonus, but you can put medium guns and mag stabs on.
Yeah, but they've only got the 2 gun slots.
Oh. When did you change those?
In Odyssey.
Oh, I got to start reading some of the stuff you do and not just the stuff
they don't do a lot of gun damage.
Okay.
So you are going to be just with drones, but they could have used heavies, you're right, to do some more damage. However, Curators are going to be fine in this case. EM's going to be a weakness for this
that's
group,
true.
so that is a fine choice. And we'll actually see how well it applies. They are going for the Tengu first, which is the Logi for this team. It's a fine choice, really. You have to see how well it can tank. There's a lot of rep drones around him. If they can clear those off, that would help. I don't think they have anything with smart bombs. Maybe the Damnation. That'd be cool.
I think he's going to get crushed. I don't know. Maybe he didn't turn his tank on until kind of late because it slowed down a little bit, but he took a ton of damage to start out. And Darkspawn not able to really
You know what he's not doing? He's not moving.
Yeah, people...
He's just sitting there.
Definitely when battleships are killing you, move.
Have an afterburner.
It's always a good idea.
Against Curators, it's going to help a ton. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if he was moving faster, he is webbed, but it doesn't even really look like he's trying. He's at 2 meters a second, and he's definitely not webbed that. Like, it's one Vindy ship move. He probably doesn't have a prop mod. Yeah, putting an afterburner on this ship would have been good. Get some more orbit going, but yeah, he's going down fast, and that's really going to end it. Those remaining ships are going to die really fast because the Vindy's already on top of them.
And the other thing is, Darkspawn has switched their target 3 times now. They tried the Oneros to begin with, then they switched to the Vindicator, then they switched to the Algos, and when they were on the Oneros and on the Vindicator, they weren't able to get any damage through it all.
Yeah.
Which is a really bad sign.
Tiny Mouse in the Oneros is doing a good job getting reps on them, but they're not applying too much at the moment. Mostly they were just trying to fire on him, and then he just was speed tanking most of their missiles. And meanwhile, the Raven of Mad Mick is taking a ton of damage because he's got a Vindicator right on his face.
Yeah, and all that damage from those Vexors in the background there. Yeah, I mean, they, again, need to bring more ships for one, and the piloting mistakes are actually really big. It's too bad, the interface we have for viewing the tournament from the third person like this is often, it's difficult to illustrate how much piloting matters. I mean, we can look at target calls and we can look at where, Ewar gets assigned, and there's a lot we can see. But stuff like whether or not you're moving your ship is so important. Stuff like whether or not you have an afterburner fit, that kind of, those little things add up in a really big way. You can do a lot to control how much damage you take and how much damage you deal in EVE with your piloting. So
Yep. As Mad Milk explodes there, it's going to be...
Mad Milk. Mad Mick.
Mad Mick. Yep, he'll be going down pretty soon. It looks like the remaining ships for Darkspawn are trying to kill the Daredevil, Blackish person, and he is going to tank just fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't, like I said to begin with, they had all of their damage available, all the Ravens were able to shoot along with the Drake at the Vindicator at least, and they weren't even touching him. I mean, it wasn't even like they had to try. It was no problem at all.
So Splinter 07 in his Raven is the next target, and he's dropping pretty fast. It's really just a matter of time. End of life, another one of our wormhole alliances, a ton of wormhole alliances in this tournament, and this is a pretty decent showing from them. I think it would have been stronger if they'd brought 12. This is definitely a setup that could have been made stronger by bringing 12 pilots.
So we've talked a ton, and CCB Dolan gave the awesome explanation earlier that because of maths and statistics, it's really good to bring all 12. Yes. But could you do a more detailed explanation about why we talk about it so much that I feel like we should sort of explain or at least dig into that a little bit more.
With the way the points are weighted, you're pretty much always going to get more of everything by bringing more pilots. More pilots are going to mean more slots. More mid slots, for instance, means more damps and more tracking disruption and all of these great things that are very effective to magnify your whole fleet. More pilots will almost always mean more damage because you will, sure, you get more damage out of a 4-point ship than out of a 2-point ship, but you don't usually get twice as much damage.
Right.
So you want to maximize, go as close to the 100 points as possible almost all the time, and you virtually always want to be at 12 pilots. The only real excuse is if you have a setup that's extremely focused that only works with those ships. Mm-hmm. In cases where you have less than 12, just find places where you can take one ship, split it into two. That Daredevil, for instance, could be 2 frigates. And there's a lot of stuff you can do there. The Mollusk is there. Those could be Herons. We've seen a lot of smart teams bring in Herons, which don't have the bonus to damping, but they do have a lot of mid slots. And 4 Herons is a lot more mid slots than 2 Mollusks.
Yeah.
Well, there'd be 3 Herons and something else.
So, tons of stuff dying for Darkspawn. They have no Ravens left, just a Vulture and a Drake now left on the field. A lot of damage from this end-of-life team without any logistic support there on Darkspawn to, slow it down a bit. But, yeah, I mean, the only other obstacle, and I don't know how much this actually comes up, I've been curious, but I wonder how many teams bring less than 12 because they actually have a hard time finding people.
It is very possible. Some of these alliances that maybe don't have a lot of tournament experience have trouble getting people excited to go through. The practicing is a really, really big amount of effort. These pilots, this is not just they show up casually and don't care. To be competitive in this, you have to put in a ton of time. These are people that are sweating blood, really, really, really working hard. And sometimes, you've only got a very tight group of people willing to do that.
And the other thing is that just like everywhere in Elseneve, at least in my opinion, the smaller a group is, the more tight-knit it is, the more you can count on people, the more you know what people are going to do. And so in a small alliance, they might just feel more comfortable flying with less people rather than bringing in members they're not as excited about to fly some, ship when they could use those points on a member that really wants to be in a battleship or something like that. But anyway, end of life, crushing Darkspawn here. Good showing from them. And we will be back shortly with Heretic Initiative versus No Holes Barred.